Competition on a carpet of ice and snow. A race against time in a place where work is play. It's a battle against the elements today on Top Dogs. Hello and welcome to the wide-open expanse of frozen Lac La Biche. We're just outside the town of Lac La Biche, Alberta. I'm Al Stafford alongside color commentator Lisa LECHUK. And Lisa, a cold, snowy afternoon. We're here for Skijoring and a two-dog sled race. What kind of conditions will the competitors be facing?
Well, today's conditions are going to be difficult. We're going to have some flat light that's going to make it much more challenging for both the skiers and the dogs to see the trail.
Now, for those unfamiliar with the sport, Skijoring involves literally skiing behind a team of dogs, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Cross-country skiing with your dogs pulling you along. It's quite exciting and a lot of fun to do. It can be very challenging if your dogs are not very well trained, and with a well-trained team, of course, it can be very exciting because you get going quite fast.
Skijoring, a sport with its origins in Norway, and the neat thing about this sport is you don't necessarily need racing dogs. You can use the family pet when competing just recreationally. We'll also be looking at the two-dog sled race today, a course for 2-milers. Now, this is for youngsters in the 16 and under category. Here are some of the top Skijoring competitors. Detlef Onderke, he's running behind Teddy and Amaruk, and Detlef is 56 years old. Here's Doris Gordon. Now, Doris's dogs are both Alaskan Huskies, and they go by the names of Chase and Marty. Matthew Chachka, a 17-year-old, running behind two dogs named Alert and Rattle. And this is Rob Bryce of Prince George, BC. He's 33 years old, and he's running behind the brother-sister team of Iris and Iskut. Now, in the two-dog sled race category, our first competitor, Fred SCANIE Jr., and he's running behind Buck and Tex on his sled. Next is Michaela DeKoff, just 6 years old, from North Armstrong, BC. She has Abra and Reba. Dylan Salvesberg is from Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, and his dogs are Kitro and Diamond. And our final competitor, Blaine Cockram of Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, and Blaine runs behind Nestor and Grizzly. Well, a light snow continues to fall here. The competitors making final preparations. This is really a weekend for families. And, you know, we've even managed to find a little sibling rivalry involved with the sport of Skijoring.
My sister and I have been skiing for quite a few years together, and we often go out and on the lake and ski and pass each other and see who can go fastest. And when it comes to the races, there's a little bit of friendly rivalry to see who can be the fastest.
She's beat me the last 3 years, but this year I'm more trained.
1 year we were only 4 seconds apart, so that was pretty close. That's a few extra poles.
I have a faster dog, she has a smarter dog, so it depends on the trail, right? So we'll see. I'm thinking this year I'm just going to skunk her. That's my prediction.
There's our first competitor, Rob Bryce, now headed for the starting line.
Okay. Well, I just want to go out and have fun and, just see how I can do. I've ski-jored with the dogs, but this is actually my first race that I've ever been in, so it should be interesting and see how they do. They're actually both pretty small dogs, so and I'm a pretty big guy, about 200 pounds, so these two little dogs are going to have to work their butts off to pull me around there.
Be interesting to see how Rob Bryce does with these dogs. He borrowed Iskut and Iris from his sister.
That's right, he did, and his dogs are quite small for his size, so it will be quite a challenge for Rob, and we'll see how he makes out today.
I come from a sport of biathlon, so I've done biathlon for 10 years. I was on a national team and competed in 92 and 98 Olympics. But since then I'm retired now and just enjoying time with my dogs and skiing and doing another aspect of sport, I guess.
Those are Nigel and Tundra. Those are the dogs that Tony Fiala from Prince George, BC skis behind. And Tony's got a lot of Olympic experience, and I would imagine, Lisa, that that's probably going to help him out here on the course.
Oh, most definitely. Tony's probably the strongest skier out on the course today. We'll just have to see how he manages with his dogs as he's going around the course.
The dogs seem to be running.
Oh, they're a little off course there. Something's got them interested off to the side. We'll see how he gets them back on track here. You can see as one is trying to push over and the other one wants to go the opposite way. They're kind of fighting each other at the moment. It's not quite what you want. This is definitely going to cost Tony some time, but he's back on track again.
I'm actually racing with my house pet because we ran all our other dogs in the races, and so the only one I had left was a pet. So he's my pet, and he sleeps in every night, and he'll turn around and look at me out there because it's tough going, I understand. So, but it's a lot of fun.
It looks like it may be a little bit more fun for Suzanne Bayley today than for Chickpea, who's the dog that she'll be running behind today. But Suzanne seems to be off to a little bit slow, but certainly a clean start, Lisa.
Yes, definitely a clean start. You see Chickpea is having to work a little bit harder to get going, and there's a bit of a disadvantage just having a single dog out there.
Well, up next on Top Dogs, we will go on board with Matthew Chachka as he challenges this course at Lac La Biche. Welcome back. A light snow continues to fall here. We've got a few competitors already out there on the course. We're going back to the starting line now, where Matthew Chachka is getting ready, and he's just hooking up there, Lisa.
Yeah, he's getting himself connected up to the tug line using a double clip system. It seems that each musher or skier has their own unique idiosyncrasy in hooking up their dogs.
Earlier today, we asked Matthew to assess the difficulty of this course.
Getting through the steep stuff, that's going to really slow our times down. Probably by a minute. I bet you everybody will be slower today.
Okay, get up, that boy.
And Matthew is off, and we've hooked up a camera to Matthew's ski goggles, Lisa, and it's giving us an excellent view of this course.
Yes, it is. This is really exciting to see. You get a good idea of what it's like to be behind two fast dogs. His dogs are running really well, nice and tight, close together, so he should do well today. If you can imagine now getting down to dog eye level, and the piles of snow along the sides of the course are not that prominent for the dogs, so that will make it another challenge for them as they work their way down through this course.
I think that the Skijoring, a lot of us are into the friendly rivalry. Most of us do it for fun rather than for a real. It's not in it to make great racers or anything. It's more of a just for enjoyment, and the dogs are our pets, and it's a sport you can do with your pets.
Well, there's Lance and Willow, and those two dogs will be pulling Heather Dempsey this afternoon. And Lisa, that's one excited border collie.
Oh yes, he's very excited, and it's quite interesting. Border collies are more of a herding dog, and it's often more difficult to get them to pull. They want to come up behind you rather than be out in front.
And out there on the course, that's Suzanne Bayley running a slow but steady pace and charging hard right behind her, Matthew Chachka. And Lisa, Matthew and his team still seem to be in very good form.
Oh, they're in really good form. Matthew's skiing really well, hard behind his dogs. His dogs are running well together as a team. And you can see here, again, they're nice and tight together as they come up and pass Suzanne.
See ya.
Gives her a little cha-cha, and off he goes.
Now that's a pair of downhill skis, an old pair, mind you, and they belong to our next competitor, Michael Salvesberg.
Most skijoring use cross-country skis for the skijoring. I have downhill skis, and so. But anyways, we'll see. I'll just go out fast and come in first. That's the strategy.
Well, we'll find out a little later today whether Michael's choice of skis will make any real difference. And as he heads out on this course now, let's take a look at what these competitors are facing here on this Lac La Biche track.
Yes, the course is 4 miles in length, and you can see it doubles back on itself quite a bit. It is out on the open lake area, so it will make it quite challenging for our competitors today.
A little earlier today, we talked with a veteran racer about the subtleties of skijoring.
Skijoring is skiing behind dogs, and dogs pulling you along, and so the dogs are hooked up the same way as on the sled, except they hooked onto your belt. On a race like this, we probably average, I've calculated at times, about 26 kilometers an hour. That's the average speed. You can go up to 35 kilometers an hour. And it's a very, very quick sport, very fast. by and large, I find that a skijoring dog has more verbal commands than the mushing dog. We have no brakes, no snow hooks, so I teach them to stop on command. However, it's not a car, and they go for a long time before they decide. They turn around and say, "Are you kidding, or is this really what you want me to do?" Really, dogs dislike when there is interruption in what they're doing. They like it to be smooth. So this is what you have to work on. You have to be really smooth behind them. Like you cannot go extreme skiing with dogs, right?
Well, there's Pierre Bataillard's team, and that's Bucket, the dog making all of the noise. The older of the two. Bucket is the main leader, and Sugar is just a pup, right, Lisa?
Yeah, Sugar's just a young and just learning from Bucket on what it's all about to get into the art and the challenge and sport of skijoring.
While Pierre is safely away on the course, let's give you an update on the skiers that are already out there. There's Heather Dempsey continuing to run smoothly. Her dog's running, though, at a slower pace than some of the other competitors. Matthew Chachka, for example. There's another look at Matthew, who's wearing race bib number 2 today and still running smoothly, although his pace looks like it's dropped off a little bit.
Yes, his dogs have slowed down quite a bit, and you can see as Matthew's going along, sometimes that tug line between him and the dogs gets a little slack, and that makes it harder for the dogs. It's a little harder to maintain that momentum.
That's Wizard and Slick, and those are the dogs of 49-year-old Kim Bell from Bonnyville, Alberta. And Kim looks like he's about ready to go here.
Yes, and he's running a father-daughter team on this event today.
Go. Okay, let's go. Okay, good girl. Okay, good dog.
And Kim's pumping hard with the poles, and he's away smoothly.
We did well in Edmonton and in Canmore, and we just come from Falkland in British Columbia, near Kelowna. And got a bronze medal there, so we did all right. They make it hot today, halfway through, so I'll try to take it a little bit easy on the way out, but speed up on the way back.
2, 1, go.
And Detlef van Durke is away, and he's a vet by trade, isn't he, Lisa?
Yes, he is. He's a member of the International Sled Dog Veterinary Association, and he's had a great start this morning.
Well, the fun continues both on and off the course. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, 2-dog sled race coverage, and I think they'll be using units just a little bit bigger than that one. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes on Top Dogs. Welcome back to Lac La Biche. We're looking at the dogs of Michaela DeKoff, one of the youngest competitors out here. She's just 6 years old. And there's the other 6-year-old out here today, Dylan Salvesberg, and they'll be running a little later in the 2-dog sled race. Now, out on the course, you're looking at Heather Dempsey, and she's about to be passed by Michael Salvesberg, who's Dylan's father. He looks to be running pretty well at this point.
Yeah, he's running a really good race at this point. He's pulling hard and skating along. And this is Doris Gordon, as we see her coming along on the course. Again, doing really well. The dogs are pulling strong.
And, of course, Doris and Heather are battling it out as sisters. Pierre Bataillard in a bit of a tuck right there. Looks to be taking a bit of a breather, giving his legs a rest as he continues to make his way through the course. And Detlef Onderka seems to be running fairly smoothly and pumping hard with those poles.
Yeah, and you can see Detlef's tug line is nice and tight all along here, and that really assists the dogs in making a good time today.
And as Detlef makes his way towards the finish line, let's take a look at what it takes to get started in the sport of skijoring.
Basically what we're going to do today is teach you how to teach your dog the pull. When we're doing obedience work for all these years you've had your dogs, he's going, okay, heel, heel, heel. And then today we're going to tell him, okay, pull. Be out in front of me and pull. And the dogs go, okay, now what? The first thing we'll do is introduce the dogs to a harness. Pop it overhead. You want a fairly snug fit on the dog's neck. If it's loose, it's going to be pulling more from the shoulder than from the head. You see a little bit of reaction here, that's okay. And all I'm going to do here is just attach it to this particular tire here. It's very lightweight. And we'll just get Debbie to walk her along to her dog, and that's exactly what you're looking for. Tail's a wagging, he doesn't really care. And we're just going to get Bess to pull around the little heavier jug. That's going to make her work a little bit. And this is when the dog's pulling harder, we want you to encourage them to pull. So what we'll introduce now is actually the equipment that you use for skijoring. What we want is the dog's pulling you on skis. So how the dog's going to pull you is with a belt. You want lots of adjustment. For some of us that need lots of adjustment. This is a critical little piece of apparatus. If your dog decides to chase a rabbit under some barbed wire fence, what you really want to have is a way to bail out really quickly. So if you have the gloves on, all you have to do is grab the rope, slide it down, and this is going to release on tension. So I'll wait till he pulls the head of it, and now he's free. Often you'll find the dogs that are great in obedience who constantly watch your face. They're the dogs that are going to have a little harder time doing the pulling. Okay, not. Okay, not. That's okay. So you'll see that Bess will constantly look back at Bruce and see, are you sure, Dad? Or is it okay? And Bruce is skiing. Now you see he's using no poles. He's doing a bit of a snow plow, nice resistance. And Bess is, there we go, first wipe out.
I'm not sure he was pulling because I was asking him to. It's sort of hard because you spend your whole life when they're on leash telling them they're not supposed to pull you, but I'm hoping that wearing a harness will make him realize he can pull at that time.
So what we've introduced is the two dogs here. They're in line, and one knows. He's actually, you can see Decho is actually pulling the other dog along here.
That was exceptional. So that was Decho teaching Ty how to pull, and it went really well.
It can be a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun and reward in the end. It's good exercise. She just loves to work and play, and so.
Because the dog just wants to run and be with you and hang out with you. So I want to run as fast and hard as I can, and I turn around and, hey, Mom's still with me, Mom's behind me. That's kind of fun. And you're saying, yeah, run harder, faster. The dog goes, wow, this is kind of cool. That's kind of what you're looking to have happen.
She really enjoys the pulling, and for a non-northern breed, I don't know what it is with her, but she likes to please and she has a good time doing it. She likes it. It's just a fun thing to do in wintertime.
Well, our racers are getting close to the finish line now. There's Matthew Chachka. As a matter of fact, you can see the finish line from Matthew's camera on board his head.
Yeah, and you can see his dogs aren't pulling quite as strong as they were at the beginning of the race, and 4 miles is a long ways to go. These guys have worked hard.
Still, it looks like a pretty strong finish for Matthew Chachka. He crosses the finish line at a time of 14 minutes and 51 seconds. Good enough for the lead at the moment. Here comes Detlef Onderke, and a very strong finish for Detlef.
Yeah, he has very strong dogs, really fit, and he's worked hard with them.
15 minutes and 37 seconds is his finish time. Heather Dempsey bringing it in pretty much on cruise control right now. Those are awfully tired dogs there.
They are tired, and you'll notice that, check it out, the only one pulling is the Border Collie.
Coming in hard right behind her is Kim Bell, and he crosses the finish line at a time of 18 minutes and 51 seconds. Not a bad outing. He's 4 minutes behind Matthew Chachka, and we look at the leaderboard here, day one. Tony Fiala is 39 seconds behind Chachka, and Detlef Onderke is 46 seconds off the pace right now. And that rounds out the field. There's the rest of the top 10 after day one.
It's really tough. It just sucks your skis down, but my dog's getting a little tired near the end, and that's where it got even softer. But it was good. I had a good run. Skated hard. At least for me it was.
I think I'll keep it the same. Just needs a little bit more experience, I guess. This one always gets pretty spooked, so we got a lot of tangles and stuff. But it was still a pretty good run.
Smoked? Oh, you smoked me. I know you smoked me. But Suzanne was right. I passed Suzanne.
We tried this morning when we were here, and they didn't want to drink. There's too much excitement. So what they do during the race, they dive for snow. Okay, so they go and bite snow, and of course they slow down. So if you can avoid that, you win a few seconds. For what it's worth, right? Just for fun.
He's been a musher ever since he was born, actually. He's been running like one dog races ever since he was 2 years old.
I'm gonna be taking out Petrol and Diamond. He runs for me, and when there's one dog races and two dog races, and I really like him to do that for me.
Dylan Salvesberg warming up the sled as he gets ready. The mini mushers are next on Top Dogs. Welcome back. A look at the beautiful town of Lac La Biche on the edge of this lake. We'll take you to the start line for the two dog sled race in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at the map and see where the mushers are going.
Yes, this is a much shorter course than the Skijoring event. It's only a 2-mile run. However, that's quite a distance for these young mushers.
Now waiting at the start line is our first competitor for the afternoon, 6-year-old Dylan Salvesberg.
You know, interesting to note, Dylan is running the same dogs that his father used in the Skijoring event.
Well, I very like racing. And it's the only stuff I could do.
4, 3.
Well, like a lot of 6-year-olds, Dylan, a man of few words, and a very young age to be getting involved in this sport. Lisa, will that be an advantage later on?
Oh, most definitely an advantage. This little fellow's going to have a lot of experience under his belt as he gets older, and he'll be a definite competitor to look for in the future years.
I think I've been racing for 2 years.
4 years.
4 years. And my dog team, they do excellent.
Well, Michaela is the other 6-year-old in this event this afternoon, and she's about ready to go. Her mother, Vicky, and father, Jim, standing by at the start line, and Michaela's away.
Yes, Michaela's quite a fierce competitor here.
And she's already got some experience at this level. She won a novice 2-dog race in Fairbanks, BC.
So what's your strategy going out there?
I don't really have a strategy.
What's the plan?
Yeah, stay on the trail and try and work my hardest.
Fred Scanie Jr. will be driving behind Buck and Tex this afternoon, a couple of Alaskan Huskies.
Yeah, these are very nice-looking dogs. They were the 2-dog champions last year in La Ronge, Saskatchewan.
Now, in order to give you a better view of this course, we've mounted a camera on Fred's sled, so you get a pretty good idea of what these 2-dog sled racers are facing this afternoon. I wonder, though, if it's going to be a bit of an advantage for Fred because he is 15 after all, and he's racing against some younger children in this race.
You know, that may be a factor for him, but, you know, you have to keep in mind that he is heavier. The dogs are going to have to work a little harder to get him around the course in the same amount of time.
What are the names of your dogs?
Grizzly and Nestor.
Anything special out there?
No, I'm just going to try my best.
Well, Blaine's dogs seem to be pretty eager as he waits at the start line. He's the last of our 4 competitors to go out in this 2-dog sled race. Blaine is 11, and he's racing out of Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan.
And Blaine's been actually racing for just 2 years now.
Dogs seem to be running pretty smoothly there coming out of the starting gate. We'll see how he does as we check out the other racers on the course. There's Dylan, and he is pumping that sled, trying to gain every last inch that he can because it looks like somebody's closing in fast.
Oh, and here comes Michaela. She's running well. Her dogs look good and strong.
See Sister Josh?
There's Michaela's mom watching the action as well. And Michaela, as you mentioned, right on Dylan Salvesberg's tail there as they head into a turn section on the course.
That's all an experience.
Is she okay?
There goes Dylan.
Yeah, he's around it with no problem.
Oh, she fell. Oh, no. Jim, she fell.
Oh, she's got to catch up to those dogs.
Skidoo's going after her. Skidoo's going after her.
Oh, this is heartbreaking. This is really tough.
Stop. She stopped.
Oh, yeah. Stop.
Oh, she stopped. She said, run, baby, run.
Run, Michaela.
Come on, Michaela, run.
There she goes. She's back on her sled.
Never mind.
Well, I guess the bad news is that she had that little spill. The good news is the dogs stayed on course. It'll be interesting to see how much time that costs her when she crosses the finish line.
That's true. That's true. They did stay on course, and they just wanted to keep on running, and they're running well again. She's back on track, so we will have to just wait and see.
Here's Fred Scanie Jr. We mentioned earlier we've got a camera on his sled, and his dogs have stopped completely now at the side of this course.
His dogs are not happy. Like they're quite nervous. Something's probably spooked them, made them nervous. Whether that's the course, could be the snow machines in the background. It's hard to say. These Alaskans can get spooked by the funniest things.
Now, what's he have to do to get them going?
Well, it depends. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting out in front and running ahead of them. They may not want to go until they see something else that they can chase. Well, we have a team passing, and he's going to have to deal with this. He's got a dog with a tug line tangled up a little bit. We'll see if he is able to get them untangled here.
So Blaine Cockrum goes past Fred Scanie Jr. Fred has to stop once again. He gets the dogs untangled, and now they seem to be running a little bit better than they were before.
Yeah, they're in the chase mode now.
There's Dylan Salvesberg once again, and his dogs, the tongues are hanging out, but they still seem to be running pretty well.
They are running well. They look a little tired, and perhaps having been in the Skijoring race earlier is going to affect them today.
And Michaela Dukoff continues to chase Dylan Salvesberg, so it doesn't look like that spill has cost her anything so far.
It doesn't look like it. The dogs are running really well, and she's doing well.
Blaine Cockrum, as he goes past our camera location there, he pumps that sled a little bit, and Fred Scanie Jr.'s got more trouble. His dog team is stopped once again.
Oh, this poor fellow. This has got to be frustrating for him. Now they're going to chase the Skidoo a little bit here. We'll see if that gets them going.
Well, it looks like they seem eager at least to chase the Skidoo a little bit, and Fred is pumping the back of the sled to try to make up some time. Here we are now near the finish line. There's Dylan Salvesberg, and he's down in that low tuck as he gets ready to cross the line.
Yes, a lot of the experienced mushers will do this to get as aerodynamic as possible.
So Dylan Salvesberg crosses the finish line, 10 minutes and 21 seconds. Right behind him is Michaela Dukoff, and she finishes 9:25. An excellent time for her, despite that fall.
Yes, despite the fall, she did very well today.
Blaine Cockrum crosses the finish line, 9 minutes, 51 seconds. Pretty steady and just a little bit behind the leader. And finally, chasing that Skidoo, here comes Fred Scanie Jr. and his team. And it looks like come tomorrow, he'll have a little bit of time to make up.
Yes, he'll have a lot of time to make up tomorrow. What a frustrating day that must have been for him.
12 minutes and 14 seconds for Fred Scanie Jr. Michaela Dukoff is our leader, finishing in a time of 9 minutes and 25 seconds.
I fell, and then my dog team, they stopped a little for me, and then I got back on and I start going again.
Usually they're barking and they're jumping. These guys were trying to turn around, come back to the truck.
Oh, is that right?
Didn't want to go at first, but then after they got going, they went around the truck. So.
Well, no higher praise for a dog than a pat on the head, and there's a couple for our leaders after day one. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes to give you day two coverage on Top Dogs. Welcome to day two of our coverage on Lac La Biche, just outside Lac La Biche, Alberta. Bright and sunny today, but very windy, and it's going to be awfully difficult for some of those racers out there today.
Oh, this is going to be a really tough course today. The wind is blowing snow across the trail. It's going to cause drifting snow. The dogs are going to be punching through. They're going to be dealing with headwinds and crosswinds, and it's just going to be a really tough go for all the competitors.
It's a tough trail today because the snow is deep, and they break through, and it's and the wind is really a factor. You have areas it's glare ice, and other areas you have a good coverage.
Got a 40-second lead. That's pretty good. Pretty comfortable with that. But doesn't mean I can go any easier. He'll catch up to me. I'm gonna go loosen up my muscles.
All of the competitors doing some loosening up. There's Detlef Underka, the 56-year-old veteran, and he's getting his legs ready for what's going to be an awfully tough afternoon out there on that race course.
Not only the skiers need to warm up, but the dogs do as well. These young athletes need to be very fit and strong to be able to do these races back-to-back like this.
Well, at the start line, there's yesterday's leader, Matthew Chachka. He finished in a time of 14 minutes and 51 seconds. He was 39 seconds ahead of the next competitor, and he's looking to increase that lead off the start. Nigel and Tundra, Tony Fiala's lead dogs. Fiala, the former biathlete, and he came in just 39 seconds behind Matthew Chachka yesterday, and he's looking to try and catch Saturday's leader as he heads out.
Yes, he placed first in the Skijoring event in the Falkland race in BC this year.
Back at the starting line, the number 3 finisher from Saturday, Detlef Underka, and he too raced very strong on Saturday, and he'll be looking to make up some time on the other 2 front runners.
Another good start for Detlef. We'll see if that wind is a real problem for him today.
Let's catch up to the leaders out there on the course now.
Yeah, as you can see, Matthew's running really well. His dogs are doing well, even though the snow conditions are difficult for them. You'll be able to see the dogs are punching through the snow a little bit through here. Got Tony skating hard behind his dogs. Again, a good strong start to the day. Detlef coming along here. Here you can really notice how the dogs are punching through the snow, and that's really tough going.
Back at the starting line, Chase and Marty leading Doris Gordon as she gets ready to go out of the gate. Doris finished a strong 6th yesterday and is looking to improve on her time from Saturday.
You notice her head snapped back a little bit as those dogs started out of the chute. They're very strong and eager to get going.
Right behind Doris is her good friend Pierre Bataillard with Bucket and Sugar as his dogs on the team. Pierre finishing 4th overall, and he's looking to make a move to try to crack the top 3 here on Sunday.
And he's already trying to get into that aerodynamic position for a better time.
Well, no question that that's going to make a big difference because that heavy wind that we've been talking about all day is going to make it tough on these competitors. Rob Bryce is next out from Prince George, BC, and Rob has an awfully strong start.
Yeah, she's having a really good start this morning, and we'll see how Iskut and Iris manage out there on the course.
Wizard and Slick leading Kim Bell out of the starting gate as he gets out onto the course. Kim finishing 8th yesterday in a time of 18 minutes and 51 seconds, just 4 minutes off the lead.
Hey, look here, Lance and Willow are really excited, having some trouble in the start gate here.
But Heather Dempsey is away. Heather Dempsey finished 9th yesterday in a time of 21 minutes and 44 seconds. And finally, our 10th starter today, Suzanne Bayley, with her dog Chickpea.
Yeah, we'll see how they manage to get into cruise control today out on the course.
I don't think that Suzanne is going to run her dog Chickpea too hard. She's just out there for the friendly competition and slow getting out of the starting gate, and Chickpea zigzagging just like yesterday as well. As Rob Bryce tries to make up a few seconds on the field, let's take a look at the breed commonly used in winter sports.
They're not purebred dogs, but they're thoroughbred dogs that go back to the Klondike days. The white man took an interest in sled dog racing. He started crossing domesticated breeds with the native village dogs.
We were calling them Alaskan hounds, but I don't know. They're basically, all the dogs here are bred for speed, so they're mutts. So you can call them whatever you want.
A lot of people, their first impression is the dogs are thin, but don't forget they have a lot of greyhound bred into them, and they're marathon runners. On a big open string, the dogs don't pull very much, so they don't have to really be big and heavy. They just have to be light and fast. So they're lean, mean running machines, Everybody's got their own strain that kind of works with them, Usually it depends on who they started out with.
The breed we're using has been developed in our kennel for the last 30 years. There's guys experimenting with a pointer cross, which they're having success with it. Right now we're having success with what we got.
You can't just breed any dog to, this has been done over a 100-year period. The green eyes or the blue eyes, it goes back to the wolf many, many generations ago for the reflection of the snow, so they don't get snow blind. Thing that I'm looking for is dogs that have a natural ability to run because they like to run. Because we both got to enjoy ourselves doing it.
Back on the course, and there's Doris Gordon, and you can see how she's struggling with that wind.
Yeah, you can see her dogs punching through the snow again. This is a really tough course today. It's not packed at all with the drifting snow, making it much more difficult for them.
There's Pierre Bataillard, and he seems to be making decent progress. It looks like Rob Bryce out there, and it looks like he's had to untangle the dogs again.
He does look like he's had some difficulty there. I don't know what happened, and they are running along, but not very smoothly at the moment. They're not really working that well.
And here's Heather Dempsey. Boy, it looks like tough sledding there. She looks, and I hate to say it, but dog tired.
Yeah, definitely dog tired. Those dogs are really wiped out right now. They're really not going that fast. Here we have Detlef von Derke, and he's doing well, but his dogs sure look tired. They're only trotting now.
Well, the two dog racers are hooking up. We'll bring you the start of that race as day 2 of Top Dogs continues. Welcome back to Top Dogs from Lac La Biche, Alberta. This is Al Stafford alongside color commentator Lisa LECHUK, and we're at the finish line, and here comes our first finisher in the Skijoring race. This is Matthew Chachka, Saturday's leader, and he's going to cross the finish line in a time of 24 minutes 5 seconds. Wow, that's an awfully long time compared to Saturday's finish.
That is quite a bit longer. That's a full 10 minutes longer out on the course today. You notice Tony's dogs, the neckline is broken between his dogs. I wonder if that's had any effect on them today.
Tony Fiala crossing the finish line in a time of 24 minutes 53 seconds. That's a pretty good time, but it won't be enough to overtake Matthew Chachka for the overall lead. Now back out on the course, we see that Pierre Bataillard has passed Doris Gordon as both skiers work hard against that stiff wind.
Oh, and Kim Bell here is working hard, also poling and trying to help his dogs out as much as he can as they battle the wind.
Suzanne Bayley and Chickpea battling the wind as well, and we'll get back to them a little bit later. Now there's Matthew Chachka. He came in a time of 24 minutes 5 seconds. He's putting the dogs away now.
What? I think we did the 6 mile.
No. Oh, wait.
We did because I got about 24 minutes.
That's right, we did do 6.
I know.
Oh, that's why my legs hurt so bad.
Yeah, that's quite right. Oh. I was wondering what the hell is going on.
Back out on the course, there's Detlef von Durka. Well, there's our answer. They went 6 miles instead of 4 today, Lisa.
No wonder those dogs are so tired looking. That's a tough day for them, the wind and an extra 2 miles.
Detlef von Durka going 27 minutes and 11 seconds, and coming in behind him, that's Pierre Bataillard. And hot on his heels is his friend Doris Gordon. And Pierre will cross the finish line a little bit ahead. He passed Doris a ways back on the course. He finishes in a time of 27:01. And Doris Gordon goes in at 27 minutes and 59 seconds.
Oh, geez, Rob is having some trouble here. These dogs are tangled up and not too keen on getting across that finish line. Maybe they just like being out on the course a little more.
Well, he's going to have to go back and he's going to have to fix that tangle in order to get those dogs across the finish line. And a rough afternoon for him, no question.
Definitely a rough afternoon. They are not interested in getting out ahead of him at all right now. And this is definitely a frustrating moment for a skier.
And it's too bad that Rob Bryce finished the day in frustration. But what must have happened out there on the course is, maybe the wind obscured a marker or something, because all of the skiers actually skied through a gate somewhere and skied 6 miles instead of 4. Well, Rob Bryce is finally finished and he must be relieved. And now it's time for the 2 dog racers to hook up. And there's Michaela DeKoff's dad getting her sled ready.
I hope I run good and my dogs run good so I don't fall off. And sharp turnaround is okay.
You're gonna win, Dylan. You
Try to.
Yeah, the dogs are rested, huh?
Mm-hmm.
They have those short races on many occasions for the children. It's just like a couple 100-yard dash type of thing. But this is 2 miles, so they actually have to go out there, and work with the dogs and stuff, right? So actually, he was really excited. That was his first time to go that far yesterday, so he got really excited. And so last night he told me he wants to be a dog musher now.
Now, Michael made the big sacrifice today, decided not to run so that Dylan could have the dogs for his race this afternoon. Now, there at the finish line, that was Heather Dempsey, and right behind Heather Dempsey is Kim Bell. And so 2 more Skijorers cross the finish line. There's Suzanne Bayley, still out on the course, and while she's there, we're going to start the 2 sled dog race here. And there's Saturday's leader, that's Michaela DeKoff, and she finished Saturday in a time of 9 minutes and 25 seconds, a 26-second lead over the field, and she'll be looking to increase that as she gets her dogs ready to go here.
Oh, she's had a really good start here. Those dogs are eager and going fast.
Abra and Reba leading Michaela's sled, and there's the leader out on the course, and the sled seems to be running pretty smooth.
Yes, despite the wind won't be as much of a problem. These youngsters weigh very little, so the dogs won't have as much difficulty pulling them around the course.
Back at the start line, there's Blaine Cockrum. He was second after the race on Saturday, just 26 seconds behind the leader.
I think it's good. It's a good sport, and that everybody should try.
There's Nestor and Grizzly, and they seem eager to get this race started. Now, Blaine Cockrum has been racing for 2 years now. He's just 11 years old.
Yeah, Blaine's wearing the famous MUSHERS cap, so I think we'll have to look for him in future years as well.
Gets down into the crouch to get out of the starting gate. Lisa, is this an easy sport for children to pick up?
Well, I think any children that are around dogs, certainly if they're comfortable with the dogs, yes, I think they can pick it up fairly quickly. They're often running a slower dog. Even though these dogs look like they're fast ones, they're often the retired dogs from the bigger teams. So they're a little bit more manageable for the youngsters.
Back in the starting gate, there's Dylan Salvesberg. We mentioned earlier that his father, Michael, let Dylan run the dogs today, and Michael decided not to race in the Sunday event for Skijoring. And Dylan is away clean, and the dogs look very fresh.
They look much fresher today than they did yesterday, and hopefully that'll make a big difference for Dylan today.
Dylan was 56 seconds behind the leader, Michaela DeKoff, after Saturday's event. We'll see if he can make up some of that time on that small sled as he makes his way through this course.
That is a fair bit of time to make up, but we'll see how he makes out. He is pedaling along and helping out.
And here's the team for the final racer of the afternoon, Fred Scanie Jr., And Fred had some trouble there yesterday on the course, and let's see if he and his team can do a little bit better today.
Well, they started off strongly, and Fred's pedaling along to give them some assistance to get them up to speed quickly.
Now, Fred finished Saturday's event in a time of 12 minutes and 14 seconds. He's 2 minutes and 49 seconds behind the leader going into Sunday's event. I think it's beyond expectations that he could still finish and win this thing, but he's certainly looking to make an improvement.
And here we have Michaela coming along the trail. She's doing well again, and looks like she's hanging on pretty tight at the moment. Perhaps there's a corner coming up. Yes, there is. Yeah, we see a turn. The dogs are doing well. They stayed on track, and Michaela stayed on the sled today, so that's really good.
Blaine Cockram getting out of that crouch that he seems to favor on the race course, and his sled is running smooth.
Yeah, his dogs look like they're running really well. Look how nicely they are running together.
Now at the turnaround point, there's Dylan Salvesberg, and there's his father, Michael, keeping a close eye on the son as he heads in for the last mile.
Yeah, he just made the turnaround at the half point, and away he goes. Oh, Dylan's in trouble. We'll have to see what happens here.
Boy, he just missed the course completely.
Completely off course. Poor little guy. And this is tough for them. He's got to get those dogs back out there somehow.
It doesn't look like he's got much control over them, and it doesn't look like he's getting a whole lot of help right now. The animals seem to be wanting to go one way, and whoever's out there giving him a hand doesn't seem to be able to get them back on the course.
No, the folks on the course themselves, they're just not giving Dylan the support that he's needing right now, but they're... this is really tough. It's going to cost Dylan a few seconds for sure, and we'll see how that affects him today.
Well, now it looks like he's found his way back onto the course, and hopefully he'll finish well. And there's Fred Scanney Jr. He started last here on Sunday, had a little bit of trouble yesterday, but seems to be running much better today.
Yeah, he does look like he's running much better. His dogs are in sync with each other. They look a lot more motivated today than they were yesterday.
Back at the finish line, fans anxiously awaiting to see how this two-dog sled race is going to finish up. And there's Saturday's leader, Michaela DeKoff. She crosses the finish line today in a time of 9 minutes and 42 seconds, a little bit slower than her time of yesterday, but still a pretty good performance for Michaela DeKoff. Now there's Suzanne Bayley, and she's got to be given a ribbon or a medal or something like that. 6 miles her and Chickpea went today, and she's coming in now just as the two-dog sled racers are coming in as well. That's Blaine Cockram coming in just behind her. Suzanne's time is 44 minutes, by the way. Blaine finished 9:33, a little faster than Michaela DeKoff. And here's Dylan Salvesberg now. His team's still running very well as he crosses the finish line. A time of 9:14. That's the fastest time we've seen so far this Sunday.
And that's quite amazing. Dylan was 10:21 yesterday. I wonder if he would have run a faster race yesterday had his dad not gone out and ski-jored with the team.
Strong finish in these conditions, and here comes Fred Scanney Jr. He'll be the last to cross the finish line today. Much better effort by Fred, though, and he'll be pleased with the time of 10 minutes, 13 seconds. We'll be back with the top dogs in a moment. Another strong day of racing for 17-year-old Matthew Chachka, finishing a time of 24 minutes and 5 seconds today, nearly a full minute ahead of his closest competitor. And there's the final standings. Matthew Chachka easily the winner, 38:57, a minute 26 ahead of Tony Fiala. And there are the rest of the Skijoring standings after 2 days. Well, some treats for the competitors, and let's hear some post-race comments now from today's winner.
Yeah, I had a good time. The dogs were moving fast. I didn't notice myself going that slow. That's why I didn't even question it. My dogs were steady. They were ready for it, but it's a surprise. Yeah, I know I got first though. I secured that position.
It's fine. I like the long distances, but you're not mentally ready for it. So you go out a little faster, and then all of a sudden it's, you go out for 6 miles instead of 4. So. And a very challenging course, because you have a lot of ice sections where you can't really skate, and then you get into the deep snow and a lot of headwind, so it was challenging.
Well, here are the Sunday results from the two-dog sled race, and Dylan Salvesberg, the winner on Sunday with a time of 9 minutes and 14 seconds, but Michaela DeKoff is the overall winner at a time of 19 minutes 7 seconds for her weekend's worth of work. Well, we got a thumbs up from Dylan Salvesberg, and now let's hear from some of the other competitors.
They gave it their all, and that's all I could ask for, but not so much.
It was really good. I did not fall off this time, and my dogs, they're running fast as you could run, and and they did not turn anywhere where the skidoos were, and I passed a skidoo and Reba and Abra. They were the best dogs I ever saw on the track.
Another victory for an excited 6-year-old, and there are her dogs, Abra and Reba, just 2 of the 4 top dogs from this past weekend. Matthew Chachka's team of Alert and Rattle also performing very well, and at least it's been a great weekend for racing, hasn't it?
It has been a fantastic weekend for racing. What an exciting event to watch. Lots of spills and thrills and a lot of lessons to be learned by everyone.
And that wraps up things from here. On behalf of color commentator Lisa Palachuk, this is Al Stafford saying so long from Lac La Biche, Alberta.